Guys, back with a lesson. This time we're moving on to the second part of our unit, which is going over rate of change, constant of proportionality, things that involve tables, graphs, equations, word problems, those kinds of things. All right, so the title of this one is Slope and Slope-Intercept Form. And honestly, we're not going to see slope in 7th grade. The term that they use in 7th grade is rate of change. And so you'll hear me say slope and rate of change a lot, and those both mean the same thing. Just in 7th grade, it's called rate of change, and then in 8th grade, instead of saying rate of change, it's now called slope. So slope is the direction and the measure of the steepness of a line. I always think about it like stairs. You know, some stairs are steeper than others. Some, like, the more steeper they are, the more vertical they are. So there's 4 different types of slope, and the 2 that we mostly deal with in 7th grade is a positive slope or rate of change and a negative slope or rate of change. So it's the 2 that I just boxed in yellow. So let's take a look at those real quick. A positive slope, it says increases left to right, which what you do is when you figure out slope or rate of change from a graph, you pick 2 coordinates where your line crosses in the corners perfectly, and you count the units up. So you're looking at the change in your y-axis versus the change in your x-axis, and it kind of looks like a stair, like a step to a stair, I should say. So that's why I think of stairs when I think of slope or rate of change. And it always increases right to left, like it goes up and right. Now looking at a negative slope, it decreases left to right. So again, I would pick 2 coordinates. So I would always start in the center if possible at the origin, and then just pick another coordinate, and I would go down and right. And the same is true if I pick this other coordinate here at the top, I would go down and right. So it looks like steps to a stair, and you're going down instead of up. Now this next type of slope is called a zero slope. So it's literally just a horizontal line, which means that they all have the same x value if you were to make a table. And then this last one is called undefined, and it's the opposite. So like all the coordinates would have the same x value, which is what I'm highlighting or drawing in black. So it's a vertical line. So slope represents a constant rate of change, which is what I just said. It's like you'll hear me say rate of change in this unit, or it would be a unit rate, which we learned about, and we'll go over that a little bit more as we progress through this second half of the unit. So you'll hear me say some terms here. Slope means rise over run. So I always think about it like you rise out of bed before you run. So you have to get up before you can run, because you can't just run out of bed. Vertical change over horizontal change. Well, your x values are your vertical change, so you either go up or down, and then your horizontal change is going left to right. Or you'll see this delta y over delta x, which just means the same thing as this last ratio, which is change in y over change in x. We always look at our y values first before our x values when we're calculating slope or rate of change. The formula used to graph a line when you know the slope and where it crosses the y-axis is called slope-intercept form equation, which represents a straight line. And this equation is on your star chart. It's in the very first section where it says equations, and it's the first one that says slope-intercept form. And it is y equals mx plus b. Let me change over to my highlighters here, where m represents your slope or rate of change, and b represents your y-intercept. Now, when you're trying to figure out your slope or y-intercept, you always want to look at the sign that's in front of the number. Notice how I highlighted plus b, just like I highlighted plus 4. Your x values will always be 0 for your y-intercept. So it would be 0, comma 4 for the coordinate of your y-intercept. It's always written in the form x, comma y. Now looking at this graph, again, it's where the line crosses the y-axis at. So it crosses at 1, so that coordinate would be 0, comma 1. And then just a last little bit here. M, which is represented with a lowercase m, is the symbol used to represent the slope or rate of change. And then B, which is a lowercase b, is the symbol used to represent the y-intercept, the point where it crosses the y-axis. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the work real quick. So 1 through 6, you're just going to take a look at the line on the graph and decide whether it's positive, negative, 0, or undefined. And then 7 through 10, you're going to write the slope and y-intercept of each equation. I'm going to do the first one with you just so you get a good idea of what to do. So I'm going to write my equation, y equals mx plus b. So m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to circle -5, and I'm going to circle +6. Now, slope is your multiplicative. It's the one that's being multiplied. So in this case, we're just going to write -5 for the slope. And then your y-intercept is the additive. So it's just going to be 6. And that coordinate would be 0, 6. All right, good job on identifying slope types and your y-intercept form.